If you have children in the United States, then this video is for you. Because we are now hearing more reports that lawmakers are considering coming forward and passing a bill that could expand the child tax credits. This means there could be more money going back into parents' pockets. So, I'm going to address what's going on, which lawmaker is currently heading up this new bill. But the first thing you need to understand is that this is something that both parties have been discussing for the past couple of years, is expanding the child tax credit, giving parents more money so that they can take that money, they can spend it hopefully on their children. So I'm going to address all this in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So we do have some big news, and the big news is which lawmaker is bringing this new bill forward. Well, when it's a House representative, it can pass, but in most cases, it needs to come from the Senate. Now, is this a senator? It is a senator, but this is the lead senator, the Senate Majority Leader. Look at this. It says, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer tees up vote on bill to expand the child tax credit. That was just from yesterday. Okay? This is a very, very important thing that we are looking at. Here's the reason why. Things are getting more expensive. We've known this. We've talked about Social Security. Giving people that are elderly and retired, giving them more money so that they can live, right? Have a decent life. We also talked about the lowest income families, people that have pretty much no income. How do we take care of them? Give them additional shelter and food and insurance and things like that. But what about the big group in the middle? Not necessarily the middle class, but what about the large group in the middle? Many of these people are having or do have children. We have about, I think, 79 million children here in the United States or somewhere around there. That's a large number. But are all of these children being taken care of? Well, the answer is no. Let's read this. So it says, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is teeing up a vote on the House bill to expand the child tax credit later this week, potentially putting a cap on the Senate's work before the month-long August recess. This is the big one. The Senate, okay, or pretty much the Congress, goes on a month-long recess for all of August. They work all up until that recess, then they take a month off. They go back to their home districts. They go and try to campaign and do stuff like that. Then come September, they come back to Washington. Well, they're trying to get this passed before that. Let's keep reading. It says a Schumer spokesperson announced that a procedural vote will take place on a $79 billion package later in the week. That's this week. Okay, listen to this. It says the tax relief for American Families and Workers Act is good for kids, good for affordable housing, good for small businesses, and good for American families. This bipartisan bill passed the House overwhelmingly, and we hope the Senate Republicans will join us. It says the vote is expected to fail despite the widespread bipartisan vote in the House. The vote is expected to fail in the House back in January. The lower chamber advanced it 357 to 70. It says the expansion of the child tax credit includes an incremental uptick of the $1,600 refundable cap and an adjustment for inflation. Okay. There's other things that are attached to this bill. Okay. We're not going to go and talk about all those, but like it said in the bill, this is good for, or in the statement, this is good for kids, it's good for affordable housing, good for small businesses, and good for American families. Okay? That's the good news. Now, here's kind of the bad news. When we pass a bill for expanding the child tax credit, the concern is, first off, how is this going to be paid for? Well, we'll discuss that later. But so that's one of the concerns. The other concern is, where are we pulling this money from? Because right now we're operating at a deficit. So right now, everything that we are potentially proposing has to be pulled from another proposal. Okay? We don't just come up with more money. We don't just tax more people. Like, we could, but we don't, because right now it's very difficult to pass with our current Congress. It's a split Congress. Okay? The House of Representatives is ran by the Republican Party. The Senate, the majority is Democrat. Now, both of them slim majorities, but they're still majorities. Now, here's where things and people are getting frustrated. They have a lot of good ideas. Expanding the child tax credit is a good idea. This is something that has really helped and has been proven to help millions of families. We've seen this over the past 4 years. But here's the concern. How do we pass this bill without making something else? Okay, another bill, another proposal, hurting other people. For instance, let's say there was a bill on Social Security and on this child tax credit. Guess what? Can't do them both. So who do they prioritize first? Do they prioritize children or the elderly? Some people say, well, we have to prioritize children because they have more years ahead of them, not the elderly. But then others say, well, we have to prioritize Social Security and the elderly because that's a system that people paid into, right? And so it's getting to that point where right now, keep in mind, we're, less than 100 days from the upcoming presidential election, right? That's coming down on November 5th. Some are saying that it's going to be something big because both parties have to figure out a way to entice the voting public to vote for them. What has the Republican Party done in the past, couple years to get the American people to vote for them? What have Democrats done in the past few years to get the American people to vote for them? Right now, both parties, according to reports, are attempting to find ways to connect with the American people. Because if you listen to the last, debate between former President Donald Trump and President Biden, it was a lot of just bashing the other person. Not talking about, what their plans are moving forward, but bashing the decisions that they were made. Bashing the choices, the bills that were passed, the inaction from President Biden. This is where we're at. So I just wanted to share this with you because I know a lot of people are wondering and have been asking for years, is there going to be more for children? Is there going to be more for parents? Are we going to bring back these child tax payments, right? For, let's say, child care. Are we going to increase these? So a lot of people are asking. So the one thing I can tell you right now is that yes, there are some discussions happening. They're potentially going to put this on the floor of the House this week to see where it goes and how many people would support it. As of right now, there should be a decent amount of support. However, does it pass? I don't know. The reason why I bring that up is simple. If we see that some Republicans like it, some Democrats like it, may not pass. It needs to have overwhelming majority. And I say this because, again, we are less than 100 days away from the upcoming election. Democrats don't want to give Republicans a win. Republicans don't want to give Democrats a win. That's why some experts are saying that a big proposal, a substantial bill, will not pass until this next calendar year. So we'll see what happens. The one thing I can tell you is I will be here every step of the way, and I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.